Welcome to this episode of Random Guy number 6. Today we're going to be refinishing another kitchen. So we've got all of these cabinets up here. We've got a ton down here. These run all the way over to the wall, of course. Plus there's an entire island worth of kitchen cabinets here. Before I get started, I just want to let everybody know the reason for this channel. So basically I'm trying to build it up so that I can travel the country and basically fix and remodel homes for people that really need it for free. So that's kind of the plan. So anything you can do to help me out to grow the channel, like, subscribe, share, comment, anything like that is going to help me immensely. So if you could please do that. I have my page here. I've got a Facebook page. I've got tons of different social media pages. Anything you can do to help me out, that would be fantastic, and I would very, very much appreciate it. So now let's get into it. First thing we got to do is remove all these doors, pull all the hardware off, and then get them all out to the garage and start sanding. So this should be the funnest part. Now, if you didn't notice, I ended up putting each hinge exactly where it goes on each door and left it in each corresponding space. Now, the reason for that is because all of these hinges have their own little settings on them. So these settings are already set to their respective spots for each door. Now, don't get me wrong, you can take all of the hinges and mix them all up. You just have to reset every single one of them and make sure that they're all set so that everything looks nice and flush and level and all the lines are right. I did this basically to save time. So if you're gonna do something like this, I would suggest doing the same thing. So next up, we're gonna get out to the garage and start sanding this stuff. The next step in the process is going to be to remove the dust. So we're just going to give these a quick vacuum, and then we're going to do a little bit of priming, and then if there's any real bad imperfections, we're going to use some of this patch on there. So I'll take you through that process right now and show you exactly what we got going on over here. So I've got a little battery operated vacuum, which makes things very quick and easy. Now you can see, basically the only thing I really need to prime is the areas where there's raw wood, spots like up here, and this spot here. So there isn't really any touch-ups as far as holes or anything we need to fill. So we're just gonna get this paint opened up, give it a quick mix. Oh, and my battery died. It's always something. All right, let's try this again. I'd say about 90% of the time I like to use a gray primer because it hides wood tannin if you have a lighter color and you need to worry about bleed through. So now when you're doing this, just put a little bit on. You don't got to get too crazy with it. And then when you've got that covered, just kind of fan it out a little bit so that you don't have any hard edges with the paint. Doesn't really matter how it looks, the rest of the paint is going to cover that. So basically you just need to make sure that the raw wood is covered and you don't have any real, so this is what I mean by, so if you just glob it on there, obviously you got a big gloop there. We don't want that. So we just spread it out a little bit, give it a couple flicks. Even if you got to spread it out a little farther, it doesn't really matter. You're never gonna see it. And there we go. One is done. Now this one has a couple of extra holes in it right here. I have no idea what they were for. I didn't unscrew anything from there. So we're gonna go ahead and plug those up. You can use a wood putty. I've got this Ready Patch, works fine. You can use a multitude of different things. If you have things that you're comfortable with, you can get those. I like to use this just because it's easy to work with. So you just basically put it on there and smear it in. And the holes are pretty much filled. Now this stuff will dry. Once it's dry, we can give it a little sand. It'll be perfect. And the excess we can put right back in there. So I started spraying primer on my clothes a little bit. So I decided to modify some coveralls to cover my clothes. I know, they're very chic. I call these designer. You know, they're my Gucci coveralls. All right, I'm gonna get back to work. So now that we have everything primed and patched, I'm gonna take all the wood doors and lay them out across the ground. So the reason for that being, as I lay these out in the space that I have available, I can roll them and basically I have a place to set everything. And after the first coat, what I'm going to end up doing is spraying everything. So they'll all be laid out on the floor. I can just kind of spray through it all and just make this as quick as humanly possible. Now that everything is laid out and I have my homemade Gucci painter suit back on, we can talk about the paint, get the paint mixed up, and I'll show you the things that I'm using. So the first thing I've got is this Emerald paint by Sherwin-Williams. It is fantastic for cabinets and stuff. I've used other things. This works pretty good. There are other things that also work well. I just have a very thin nap roller, and I really like these oval brushes. So if you can find oval brushes anywhere, I would suggest using these. They're very easy to work with. They can cut fantastic lines. So there's that. So the first thing we gotta do is get this paint all mixed up. All right, so now we got the paint all mixed up. We'll grab our first piece of wood. And I'm only going to be painting one side and all the edges. And then I'll do that twice, but I'll do one side rolling and then I'll spray it. And then the same on this side. And I like to do the edges on both coats just because these are going to get the most beat up with people grabbing or scratching and stuff like that. So basically we're going to start. All you really need to do is just paint any areas that your roller can't get. So like these edges kind of in here. And that's pretty much all you have to actually use a paintbrush for. So you're gonna see you get these marks and stuff on here. If you get marks on there, it's coming from this outer edge. So if you just push that outer edge, get the rest of that paint off there, then you can kind of back roll it. You can roll the edges. And everything disappears. Now, I'm not really worrying about the insides of these because they don't really matter. You can paint them if you like, but it is not going to make or break your project. That much I can promise. All right. So we got that. We got all the roller marks out. I like to hold it like a pizza and do all the edges. Now you don't want a lot on your roller when you're doing this because it will roll over this bottom edge, then it really looks like garbage. So thin coats are always better. And that's what it should look like. The first coat is now dry, so it's time to move on to the second coat. Now, you 100% absolutely can roll out the second coat and do everything exactly the same as the first coat, but we're going for a smoother finish here. So the reason we actually did the first coat by brush and roller is to really push it in those grooves and fill up those holes and cracks and all that kind of stuff, which you can't really do with a sprayer. So the second coat, I've got this handy dandy little battery operated sprayer. I also have a full-size professional sprayer, but trying to navigate a hose through this labyrinth of cabinet doors is kind of a pain. So these things work great. They're great for smaller jobs, medium jobs-ish. You know, it holds a quart and you know, you gotta fill it up quite often, so I wouldn't suggest painting a full-size room with it, but they do work great. They work just like a regular, normal, professional size sprayer. So I'm gonna get this thing filled up, give these things a spray, and let it dry again. time to work inside the actual kitchen and start doing some prep work. So the first thing we're gonna do is remove this refrigerator. I'm also gonna remove this stove, but we are only painting the faces of these cabinets and the underside and the sides. So we're not doing anything inside the cabinets themselves. So I've got a little bit of masking to do, and then we can sand these and start painting. The cabinets are all painted, the doors are all painted. The last thing to do is to put everything back together and make this a beautiful kitchen again. So the doors and the hardware and everything are all finally fully installed, but we do have a new request from the homeowner, and that is to install a backsplash. So let's get to it. So all of the doors and hardware are now installed, the backsplash is completed, and I'm going to call this job 100% done. I'm going to go pack up my things, start heading to California, and on to the next project. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe, and share. Remember, I am trying to do this traveling the United States to random jobs for free and just help people out where they need it. But I can only do that with your help. So any help you want to give, just like, subscribe, share, watch the videos. In the description is links to all my social media pages. So until next time, I'll see you soon.